if I'm going to be buying something from a company that is designed to protect my precious miniatures from the harms and ills of a cruel, uncaring world, I want something where I look at it and I think, if a nuclear bomb went off right now, I would be gone. I would be gone, but I know full well that when the radiation finally disappears 1,000 years down the line, someone will be able to pick up my box of miniatures and they would still be okay inside. If I'm going to spend the money on someone else's product, that's what I want. That's what I want from a case. I don't even know how to start this. I don't even know how to start this off because I don't know where this idea came from, right? I have no clue whose idea this was or why. In a world where foam didn't exist and magnets don't exist, this would be a genius solution. But both of those things already exist and are already accepted ways of transporting your miniatures. So what the hell? Like, what the hell is this? What is this? So, as they say, transporting your miniatures is one of the trickiest aspects of the Warhammer hobby. All your lovingly painted miniatures at the mercy of potholes, doorways, and the forces of gravity. I mean, yeah, I've transported my fair share of armies. I've moved a fair amount of stuff around. Hell, when I was on the painting phase, which was a lovely time, loved it. That was a really fun podcast recording that. They're a great gang. I took a big box of miniatures, including my Cosmic Horror Mega Gargants. I took those with me and a bunch of kit bashes, and they got there and back. It's like an hour's drive either way on really bad roads because the UK has terrible roads. And somehow they all survived. They all survived. No breakages, nothing fell off, nothing fell over. Now, you might be wondering to yourself, gang, how did that happen? How did I achieve this result? It's just a box with a strip of magnetic material in the bottom and magnets on the base of the mould, and that's literally it. I couldn't even properly, anchor the box down because I couldn't put the lid on the box because the stuff was too tall. Why did they make this? I'm looking, and I'm not seeing anyone going, this is a brilliant idea. I'm not seeing any of you going, you know what, this is fantastic. These are silicone bristles, or silicone, depending on how you want to pronounce it. And I'm just not seeing an actual good solution here, you know? This is great for those that travel on a train with the Necromunda gang. I mean, potentially, Aegis Lanesh, potentially. But I just don't know what this offers that, a case with magnets could do for, let's be honest, it's going to be significantly cheaper to not buy this and to do another solution, right? I've thought for a long time that the sculpts have long outpaced the cases. I wasn't sure what was going to come next exactly, but I wasn't sure this was it. Well, this is the thing, right? This is what's confusing me. This might well work on simple models, but I'm really, really struggling to see how you get some of the more fragile models in here and out of here without it being an issue, you know? Without having problems in terms of things breaking. Because what they've got in here, Stormcast for the most part, you can probably get away with. Stormcast and Space Marines, you're probably good. Stuff that doesn't have too much in the way of really thin weaponry or really thin kind of spindly sections, I totally get that this actually might do the job. I'm not 100% convinced, but I can see why you would think that it could do it, right? But this lad here, right? This little fella here, little Sylvaneth lad, admittedly, I have kit bashed it, but it's no more fragile than the normal model because it's all the same parts are filled in. I'm sorry, I would not want to transport this in that box. With all of the little spindly bits up here, with how thin the sword is, and the sword is the same thickness as the ones you get in the actual kit. That would be a nightmare to put in there. I would not be convinced that I could take it out again without it being wrecked, to be perfectly honest. It would really be helpful if they'd shown, like, much more kind of slim, fiddly models, to be honest. Stormcast do have some fiddly bits, yeah, but, like, the main... I think, for me, the main structure of them isn't fiddly, you know? Stormcast and Space Marines have got quite a solid, like, core, even with the cloth that Stormcast have got. I don't think foam is actually that bad of a solution. Magnets is obviously better. It kind of, I don't know, to me this sort of feels like reinventing the wheel, but not in a way that is really particularly helpful or I guess necessary. If it works really well, then I could see it maybe take, like, kind of catching on. But my gut reaction seeing it was just like, oh, but I can think of so many models that just simply don't feel like this is appropriate for them. And whilst they have done a bit of, like, there is a little bit of, like, delicate stuff going on with the Stormcast. Like I said before, there's, like, a nice solid core to those. Can you imagine putting Nighthaunt in this? Like, it's all very well doing Ossiarch Bone Reapers there, but wow, camera's gone dark. But Ossiarch Bone Reapers they're fine, but they're not particularly, like, those models are not particularly delicate or sort of spindly. That is definitely going to work, the Space Marines, because they're super simple models. I would love to have seen the testing for this, you know? I would have loved to have seen someone walking around with it, putting stuff in it, taking stuff out of it, because just by the pictures, I just can't... It's not jumping out at me as being something that, like, looks like it's really going to work, you know? Also, the case is designed to be opened flat on a table with rubber backing to each half, providing extra grip. There's less chance of you accidentally knocking off the table. I don't know that I've ever knocked one of my containers off a table, but... I mean, these are with it being a skirmish case, it's for, like, Warcry war bands and kill teams and the like, which does make sense. Why they showed that in that context, I don't know, because I don't think that's a fieldable Warcry anything, and you'd have to buy quite a few of these to carry a full Ossiarch Bone Reapers army. But I have to admit, I'm looking at this. And I'm looking at, like, the side walls and stuff of this thing. And it doesn't look, like, thick or, like, reinforced. I guess there is reinforcement there. But, like, it looks quite flimsy. I don't know if that's just me. But it kind of looks a bit flimsy and a little bit cheap. Now, the thing is, it being flimsy and potentially cheap, that would be fine if they're not selling it for very much. If it's flimsy and cheap because it's, like, going to be cheap to buy, then that's kind of acceptable. If it looks flimsy and cheap, but then it turns out that it's going to be, you know, 50 quid or something. Okay, so the current Citadel Skirmish figure case is £42.50. And I'll be honest, it's probably just the way it's been designed in terms of appearance, but it looks so much more chunky. So this is the current Skirmish case. The case itself might not be... Well, there's, like, paneling on the inside. It looks like kind of reinforced paneling and stuff on the inside, and then on the outside you've got these, mostly for looks, I'm assuming, but, like, bracing on the thing. To me, this looks more capable of taking a hit than that does. Like, that does not look capable of taking a hit. That looks capable of taking a hit. Just like optics alone, I'm looking at the current Skirmish case and thinking I would trust this thing way more than I would trust this thing. Like, oh, Lord. And also, I know foam can be a little bit unreliable in some cases, but it's also just like the sheer size of this thing. Like, look how much you can get in there. Look how much you can get in that case. You've got a full squad of Space Marines right there. There's another layer underneath that you can fit another couple of squads in. You can fit another squad next to that squad, potentially even a few more. Compare that to this, where they've wedged in, what, 11? 11 Space Marines? You could get 12 in, probably. You could get 12 in. But that's it, you could get 12 in. Compare that to that. And it's not like you can stick a bunch of other stuff in the lid, is it? Is it? No, you can't. Look at the way they're sticking out. You can't stick any more in the lid. Also, would you even trust the lid to hold them when you took the lid off? I don't think you would. I don't think you would. I just don't. I'm just not convinced. I am fully not convinced. It just doesn't look like just like appearance-wise, it doesn't look like a solution that I would be happy to trust with my, with my miniatures. It does also look like it's torturing your minis for information in the oldie times as well. Like that, I'm sorry, but that just looks so much more reliable. It just looks so much more reliable. I mean, just the overall look, presentation is like, oh my god, look at that, absolutely massive. And you look at that and it's so flimsy looking. It looks weedy, looks weak. Looks weak. I don't want a case that looks weak. I want a case that looks like absurdly chunky. Like you could drop kick it down a stairwell and your models would still be fine inside. I don't know that there's any case that you could do that with. I don't know that there's any case you could drop kick down a stairwell and everything would be fine. But that's what I want, right? That's what I want the appearance of. If I'm going to be buying something from a company that is designed to protect my precious miniatures from the harms and ills of a cruel, uncaring world, I want something where I look at it and I think, if a nuclear bomb went off right now, I would be gone. I would be gone, but I know full well that when the radiation finally disappears 1,000 years down the line, someone will be able to pick up my box of miniatures and they would still be okay inside. If I'm going to spend the money on someone else's product, that's what I want. That's what I want from a case. I mean, if I'm making my own, it'll just be some janky box with a magnetic strip in the bottom and magnets on the bases of my models. And that's fine, because I've made it. But if I'm paying a premium for someone else's, exactly, Tushan, I want my legacy to be intact for all time. Frankly, I don't think this looks like it would keep your legacy intact for more than 5 minutes.